So I've always been a Francophile. I just always thought French culture was great. And, when I was an adult, I married a French woman and I moved to France and tried to make films there. And I immediately just missed American culture so much. And I just wanted to be back in America. And whenever there'd be like American tourists talking, I just would follow them around just so I could hear their accents. Like I was just so homesick. And I was working as a film critic. I had different odd jobs. One of them was as a translator. One of them was teaching English, and one of them was writing film reviews. And I wrote for this English language publication called Passion. And I wrote under a pseudonym because I used to say really mean things about filmmakers that I knew, and I didn't want them to know that I was saying mean things about them. But I was so bitter and so frustrated at not being able to make my own films that I just was very, very hard on everybody. And I was writing about whatever films were coming out that week. I just was writing about the current releases. And Ghostbusters had just come out. This was like 1985. And it played in this really big theater that was kind of like a Cinerama style theater with great acoustics. And it was just like the kind of Hollywood movie that, in the past I would have looked down on, but now that I was so homesick, just seemed to me like the epitome of culture. And I remember there was a line in the film where one of the demons says to one of the Ghostbusters, "Are you a god?" And the Ghostbuster says, "No." And then the demon zaps that person with like electricity. And one of the Ghostbusters says to that person, "Next time someone asks you if you're a god, say yes." And I remember thinking like, oh, that's such a brilliant line. Like it seems so metaphysical, like, of course we're all gods. And the right answer is, yes, I'm a god. And the next time someone asks, you say yes. Like it was just like this very new age allegory that was being expressed in this film. And I thought it was like the highest thing that you could do was to sort of make a film that was mainstream and accessible and commercial and fun, but also had this whole other metaphysical, spiritual meaning in the allegory. So I wrote a review of the film and I basically said, Ghostbusters is the greatest film of all time. And the people in charge of the magazine, they were like Francophiles also. And, as much as it was for Americans and English-speaking people, they didn't think that, Hollywood cinema was very good. They were all, snobbish and they thought, French cinema was better and stuff. I mean, that's why they were living in France. And I was fired. They just were like, "You're out of your mind and you can no longer write for us." And that was too bad. But by this point, I'd already decided I was leaving France and going back to California to go to film school to learn how to make films like Ghostbusters, which, I never did. And I got disillusioned with that model very quickly. But for a brief period, I really thought that Ghostbusters was the acme of human civilization.